What are your names? Where are you from? And what do you do? What are you playing?
I'm John Ramsburg. I play the bass and I sing and I write some of the songs in Thrill Ride.
My name is Paul Haley. I'm the guitarist in Thrill Ride. John and I, we share songwriting responsibilities. We live in SOMA, New Jersey. I don't know what the outsiders think of that term, but we in South Orange-Maplewood call it SOMA for short. Will Kramer, our drummer, also lives in Maplewood. Thrill Ride is actually the remaining members of our previous band, Dollar Store Riot. Thea Kearney, our singer at the time, she needed to take a break. Dollar Store Riot went on hiatus, and John and I and Will looked at each other and said, well, we want to keep going or what? And we decided to keep going, so we came up with a new name, Thrill Ride, and we've been going ever since. John came into the band shortly after Dollar Store Riot played Maplewood Stock back in 2016. It's probably the biggest musical event in Maplewood every year, every summer. Of course, last summer they canceled it because of the pandemic, and hopefully we'll get back to that. But it's a very fun event. Dollar Store Riot had the opportunity to play, and that was our original bass player's last show. And I think John saw us playing, and we offered him the job, which he happily took. And do I got the history right, John?
Yeah. So I've been friends with the drummer, Will, for quite some time. Our boys are the same age, went to school together. So when their bass player left, he knew that I played bass and asked me to audition. And I got the part, and I learned all their songs, and we played for a while.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, John, you were in a band for like 17 minutes, and then we put him in a Dollar Store Riot video. And you were
I'm in a video. It's not even my bass.
For first-time listeners, how would you describe your sound, and who were your musical influences?
Oh, God. It'd take me 3 days to list mine. John, go.
Basically, your standard alternative garage. Dad bands is what they call us around town now. But we have influences: Police, Clash, Buffalo, Tom. I mean, you name it. All three of us come from very similar yet varied enough backgrounds where we each bring something interesting when we're working on new songs. You liked listen to 120 Minutes back in the day. You know, catch that on MTV. You probably enjoyed watching one of our shows.
John and I share a bunch of favorite bands. You know, when I hear our music, like especially that last song that you added to the playlist, it kind of reminds me of very Police meets the Clash kind of thing. Every practice, John is playing what's the name of that Police song? He always plays at least once on the bass. So maybe we'll play it one day. I also hear a lot of what I like to call punk and roll. I hear Social Distortion. I hear just many different influences coming in. Some of my influences are definitely, I wouldn't be playing guitar if it wasn't for bands like Buffalo Tom and Lemonheads, things like that pop influence, fuzz rock kind of stuff going on, overdriven rock and things like that. So many different influences going on. And Will went to college out in Seattle, the Seattle area, I think Evergreen State or something like that. So, and he grew up in the Boston area. So he definitely brings a lot of influences from there. It's kind of interesting how it all comes together. Will and I and John definitely click. We could start playing something, it all starts falling together.
I saw that you did like a quarantine series across social media and YouTube. Whose idea was that?
Well, we just can't sit around. I mean, the funny thing is, and I kind of said this to the band, that even though the pandemic hit last year, Thrill Ride was very productive. And I don't know if it was just a timing thing, but John, didn't we release like 5 or 6 songs?
Well, we got lucky in that we had got in the studio and recorded a bunch of scratch tracks right before we shut everything down. So then I was able to record from home and send tracks into our buddy Tom. He does all of our mixing and recording. Will and Paul would pop in when it was safe, and Paul gets tested every week. So it was safer for him to go in than for me. So I was more comfortable staying home. But yeah, it was frustrating because we had planned a 5-song EP. So we recorded a bunch of the scratch tracks. Then we had to stop everything. So we used part of that to put out the videos. So we all recorded separately, listening to the same song. I edited a bunch of it together and posted it up, and then when we had time, we worked through one of the songs, get it mixed and put it out. So then our 5-song EP became, this slow drip of singles that kept coming out. So, kept us moving, which is good.
Congrats on the most recent release, Catching a Reset. I like the lyrics.
Oh, yeah, that's
What's the story behind that? Is that about someone specifically referenced, or?
I was trying to remember who wrote them, and I said, "Oh wait, I wrote those." Yeah, that's just. I'll plead the fifth on a lot of that, especially the chorus. But we'll just leave it at that. But those, I definitely wrote those, and John handled that song very well. And the funny thing is, there was different with that song, you got those little background stories with the bands, but John was learning to sing this song, the vocals. So I sent him the lyrics. And then when we went to record, he had like the original lyrics that I since revised. But then when I heard him do it, I was like, I said, I thought I'd give you revised lyrics. And he's like, no, these are it. And I'm like, well, those are the original lyrics. He's like, yeah, we're standing outside your house. You remember that, John, when you gave me stickers? I said, okay, we'll leave that. I like that. You know what I mean? I guess I had to hear the original ones again. I'm kind of glad that he got the original lyrics as opposed to revised lyrics. And you can definitely hear that in the second verse.
He had so many words per minute. It was off the charts for especially one of our songs. We're very short, succinct, and then Tom, our engineer, said it's our prog song.
Yeah. I like it. What's the name of Tom's studios, to give him a little shout out?
Oh, Laughing Boy Recordings.
Yeah, Laughing Boy's out of South Orange. I'll probably get this wrong a little bit, but he was a producer in New York for many years. And then he built a home studio, and it's a home away from home. He's a great guy. I mean, all around good guy. He plays in every band in South Orange and Maplewood. I can't think of one band he never stepped into, except maybe ours. He added tracks to some of our songs.
Yeah.
And even Dower So Rise songs, like some we didn't even know he was going to do. I was listening to some, I think it was the last Dower So Rise song we recorded. I heard organs, and I'm like, in the chorus, and I'm like, did we record that? And it's just like, so I went to Tom, and Tom is probably the sweetheart. He's not probably, he is a sweetheart. And I always say he's the glue of SOMA, the music. He's just so involved. And I said, Tom, did you record organ? He goes, yeah, I felt like doing that. What do you think? I said, yeah, this sounds great. Great guy. I recommend everybody to go to his studio to record for sure. 1 block off South Orange-Maplewood. We'll leave it like that.
That's nice that you have a short commute from your homes to the recording studio.
John can basically hit Tom's house with a rock, I think. So, yeah, I'm a little bit farther, but it's still very close. And Tom's great to work with. He'll give you feedback. A lot of studios, they're demanding money, and you got to. I don't want to. Tom, you got to remind him, hey, we owe you some money. Oh yeah, you know what I mean. So it's just like, So he does it for the love of the music, is my point, and that's a great person to work with for sure. So we're very lucky in that respect.
The song that was added to the playlist shelf has some French in it. I speak zero French, so I was going into Google Translate.
That was John's brilliant idea, and those organs that you have is all John. That's a John song from start to finish. And I mean that in the highest regards. It's a fantastic song. John, I don't think I ever told you this, but I love the fact that you put French in it. I think it's great. Yeah.
I woke up one morning and I had the whole song, the verse, chorus. We even came up with the bridge, and I ran downstairs. It was one of those moments where I was like, I got to write this down. I got my phone, I recorded it. I just played it straight out, and it was done. The song was over, showed it to the guys. We came up with a bridge, so it wasn't a minute long. The French is the first verse just repeated. I don't know whether I got the idea for the French, but I just started singing it in French, my broken high school French, and it stuck. So that's where I went. That was like 5 minutes. I had that song done. It's the only time that's ever happened to me in my life.
I have to say that's definitely one of my favorite songs in our catalog. It's a fun, catchy song, and And John really put a great song together for that. So that was good.
Do you have any special collaborations? Any tidbits that you can drop about what we can expect for this new selection?
Well, the one song we were working on at this last rehearsal, it's called Started to Stop. I actually wrote it with my daughter. She's 11 now, but she was 10 when we wrote it.
The next song we're working on, a song called Ride that John also wrote. Again, a fun song to play.
Well, I like working with Will and Paul because a lot of the times when I write songs at home, it's more like alt country of the sound because I just sit with my acoustic guitar and, you know, play something either sad or trying to tell a bit of a story. And then I bring it to them. They're like, okay, so we're going to play it faster than this, right? And then, you know, it progresses and it becomes, you know, our grungy punky feel that we have. So that's a ride started like that. Actually, when I played on the piano, it sounds more like a Springsteen song. And when we play it together as a band, it's like a straight Social Distortion-esque rockabilly style. So it comes at you really fast and just keeps on going right to the end. Very danceable. I feel like I want to see people dancing at our gigs.
So you both have a hand in the songwriting. So do you start the lyrics first? What's that process like? And do you draw largely upon personal experiences?
For me, it all happens at the same time when I get the skeleton. I'll be messing around with some chords or I'll have an idea and the words will just come out and they might be nonsensical, but I might get a core of something I want to talk about and then I'll expand off of that on the lyrics. Sometimes I'm inspired by like sitting on the train, New Jersey Transit. That was actually the impetus for Chill Out. I heard a couple talking. They're basically saying, you know, we got to slow this relationship down. And that's where Chill Out came from. You know, other things, maybe I want to talk about some problems I'm having, like half as much is more about social media obsession I was going through at the time where it just was never present. So I was always looking at my phone. And so I wasn't there. And then there was no reciprocation because it's social media. It doesn't care. So that's what, things like that. So, you know, pulled from all over. Sometimes I hear a song and I say, I really like the way that song sounds. And I try to figure out that chord structure and see what I can change to make it mine and then build on that. So just a little bit of everything. It's potpourri of songwriting.
I would say usually it's the guitar riff that comes together, you know, if I'm working on a song and then, you know, I'll dig through a bunch of lyrics and not like any of them, but I will say I tend to be more of a stickler with the lyrics. I can tell you that there's every line that I write means something, meaning maybe like a subtle joke, somebody in mind. I would argue that all the lyrics that I write is usually about somebody. Like when I think of songs like Over is Emo, it's about a specific one person. Beat a Skip is again about a specific person. I don't know if you're aware of that. We wrote a really, really heroin chic version of it. And then one day we just decided to speed it up. And so we got two versions of it and we tend to play the methamphetamine version of it now. I like playing it both ways, but I have to say the faster way is a fun way to play it. I got this little acoustic guitar I bought my son a long time ago. It's like those 3/4 travel one. I have it right next to the couch. I'm watching March Madness, like working on a riff, you know what I mean? And oh, this works. Oh, this, you know, and but it's usually the riff first and the lyrics for sure.
You have a pretty international following.
Yeah,
So,
that's all John. He's got the connections. Yeah.
what was that like the first time you had someone outside of the US email you or contact you or however it came about and be like, hey, I discovered you?
I was checking either CD Baby, that's what we use to distribute, or Spotify for Artists, one or the other. But I saw someone in Vietnam had listened to our whole album, which I thought was great. So that was cool because Paul's right. I have friends who live in Europe and Canada. And they're friends. They're nice. They take a listen to it. But now it's starting to pop up in different playlists, which is pretty cool because I'm not doing this to be famous. I really enjoy writing and playing music, and I have a fun time doing it. And if other people like what I put down, that's great.
There were some interesting ones that pop up that makes you And it makes you wonder. Actually, while we're talking, I think I'll look.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to hear or see that there are
100
other
is
people
some.
who like the music enough to, listen to it again on Spotify, or they're discovering it on their own separate from me somehow. I think it's cool. I'm very grateful. Very humbling.
You both have kids that are teen years. Do all their friends know that about the band? Do they come to shows? What have they given you feedback? What's what's that like?
My kids are a little bit older than John's. I got a junior and a freshman. I don't know if they ever listen to it, but every once in a while, my oldest son, Aiden, will come and say, "Oh, I saw somebody in town wearing your band shirt." And they'll say it just like that. Like, okay. My youngest, Liam, none of his friends say anything, but some of Aiden's friends, my oldest son's friend, have said things to me like, "Oh, I heard your new song. It sounds great."
My boy's older. He's in 7th grade, and one of his friends really, really likes us. And he has our stickers on his wall, on his desk. He has both versions of our T-shirt. His parents come and see our shows a lot. We're a neighborhood band. A lot of our friends come see us when we do gigs around town. So my daughter, she does backing vocals on Bleed for 3, but that's about it. Her friends are like, they don't care. My kids don't care when we're playing. It's like, oh, you're going to come to the gig? Like, well, who's going to be there? And then they go play with their friends while we're doing the show.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I think the funniest thing is when you walk around SOMA or you're driving somewhere and you see somebody with the shirt and you're just, yeah, I saw some growing up, a couple months ago. I just started laughing because I'm just like, because you just don't expect to see it. You know what I mean? And like, oh, wow, somebody actually owned one of our shirts, so it's like, it's cool though, it's fun.
Do your coworkers know what you do? Have they come to shows?
When we play in the city, a couple of our people I work with will come out, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's good too, because, we're normally one of the first sets. So 7, 8 o'clock, no one's in the bar anyway. So, actually having people show up, it makes it more than just a glorified practice. Some of my coworkers and ex-coworkers from previous jobs, they still keep tabs on the band, let them know when we have a new release out, and they listen. Some of them ask for the new shirts, so Paul's kind enough to ship them out.
With my new job here, our office is officially open, but we only have like 4 or 5 people, and I don't really know everybody yet. It was kind of weird. Like this week, there was somebody actually sitting, safe away from me, but I saw somebody sitting like after months of nobody. It was kind of like a castaway kind of moment. It was just, whoa. And I was like, are you going to be here tomorrow? Because it kind of freaked me out. It just like, and I'm just not used to so many people here, but my bigger point is I really am just starting to get to know people, and it's kind of difficult, when no one's in the office and you're just depending on Teams or Zoom and stuff like that. So to answer your question, Sonia, no one even knows that I play music here. So
my office,
that's okay.
Our
We'll get to
global
that,
office
yeah.
newsletter actually included, I think it was the video for Last Night or Chill Out that we did in the beginning of the pandemic, when they're saying, this is what people are doing while they're at home. So a whole bunch of people in my company found out that way. Got positive feedback from that. So that was nice. Good to get exposure any way you can.
What would you say are some of the highlights that you've experienced so far, either as individual musicians / songwriters or collectively as a band?
I think 2020 is a highlight for me. I think we played 2 shows before the pandemic hit, and then we were able to play a outdoor show November 20th or something like that, right, John? And you would think it'd be cold and nasty, and it turned out to be like 68 degrees, and we were playing outdoors on Springfield Ave at this open market kind of thing, and there was so many people who showed up. And I just think 2020, right, quickly it comes to mind because we're able to play with our friends' bands, and there's so many bands in SOMA, New Jersey and beyond that we're friends with and we get to play with still. And again, recording and getting those singles out in 2020. I think those are the highlights for me, just continuing to play despite the pandemic and everything else. And and playing with our friends and having friends come and see us. Like, people are aching so much in November. I got so many texts like, hey, I drove by and saw your band. I would consider that, for me, at least personally, a highlight. And just getting those songs out and then trying to figure out 2021, that momentum.
For me, I like this band is actually the first one where I actually got to step up front and do the writing and singing and have a lot of the support. When I've had a song to write, the other bands I've been with have been supportive. I really liked working with them. One of my really good friends from college, he and I have been in a band forever, and he is an amazing musician and singer, and I was always happy to be playing bass and, you know, working with him on his songs. But finally coming out in Thrill Ride saying, you know, here are my songs, want to play them? And Paul and Will were like, yes, let's do this. And, you know, the affirmation that comes along with that. It's like, you know, I can do this. And accepting the fact that, you know, a song's never really going to be finished, but I'm going to say it's good enough for me to play it out loud, you know, for people to hear. I think those are good personal highlights for me, just accepting that I can do this, and, you know, I'm really enjoying it, and it's fun. Yeah, I was a theater major in school, so acting and stuff and being in front of people was fine for me, but I always felt that songwriting and singing was never something I was very strong at. So being able to overcome that with this group is the biggest highlight. And then some of the places we've gotten to play, like Asbury Park, pianos in the city, just a lot of venues that, you know, I'd walk by or I'd see other friends' bands play, and, you know, just popping in and getting to meet all these other great bands. This community here in South Orange-Maplewood, getting to play with our friends Tri-State. There's Maple Wolf, and they're a country cover band, and they're great, and it's fun to do a set with them because it flips everything on its head when you're doing sets together. You know, I love playing in this town. Everyone's so supportive. I can't wait to play more gigs with some, you know, there's some new bands that are coming up now, like Thea's bands, Mega Sparkle. I think it'd be fun to go play with them too.
John and I, we also have to have radio shows on Bone Pool Radio. I tend to do a lot of mixed shows. I'm 30 shows in, Polly's Boutique is called. Whenever I do a mix show, like an eclectic mix, I always made sure to put a local band in the show. And then I increased it from one local band, and this basically means SOMA, New Jersey and beyond, but in New Jersey. And then I decided, well, I can't keep up with this, so I have to add two. And then it eventually turned into where I just put together two exclusive shows about all the great bands in New Jersey. And I'm not even done yet. It's just, you can probably relate, Sonia, but it's just like, I put those exclusive shows together to try to catch up. And then I just realized every time I put one of those exclusive shows together, I forgot about all these bands over here. SOMA, New Jersey has so many great bands, and within the close vicinity, just a lot of fantastic bands out there. And I don't want to speak on behalf of John, but I feel very lucky to be part of that, the whole musical scene, for lack of better terms, you know, being friends with all these bands, everybody getting along, playing along, and it's just a great scene. And I hope to see it continue. It's definitely a fun scene. It took a little bit to come to fruition a little bit, but it definitely did. And you just realize all the great bands out there, you know, from the doom metal of Green Dragon to, I call it the Indigo Girl sound of Mary the Sea, to Tom Lucas's of Laughing Boys. He's got that great Sad About Girls, and the list is endless. It's just crazy.
Two last questions. Are there any dream collaborations you would love to do with artists or bands, living or ones that are not currently with us? And where can people find you and connect with you online?
We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Thrill Ride Band New Jersey. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, under Thrill Ride. You can also hear us played on Bone Pool Radio. That's an iHeart radio station. So if you want to check them out there, that's the New Jersey local station where Paul and I have shows. And then you can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook. If you want to talk about band stuff, I'm always happy to chat. Same with Paul, Paul Haley. So you can look us up anytime. So Paul, who would you want to play with?
You said alive or dead or whatever, but I would love a chance to play with the Clash or maybe that one day when hell freezes over and, you know, the Smiths get back together, or another one of my favorite bands. Sure, Buffalo Tom, why not? If I had to collaborate, I'd probably with a lot of local bands, like members of local bands, you know what I mean? Like members of Tri-State, I would love to have a chance to play with, and Allied Chemicals no more, but I would love to have a chance to play with some of those guys. Tom Lucas from Laughing Boy and Sad About Girls for sure. So definitely a lot of local bands.
I like a lot of different styles. Like I'm obsessed with Toad the Wet Sprocket ever since I was in high school. So I'd love to get a chance just to play, let alone hang out with Glenn Phillips and just see, you know, how he does his songwriting, or just playing, you know, jamming some songs, just having a good time with them. Lucero, the all country band, not everybody's heard of them, but they write some really beautiful, heartfelt music. I really enjoy the way they write a song. And then if I had a chance to go back and sit with, you know, Sabbath and play bass along with them, just, you know, blues metal is, I love blues metal. It's just fantastic. Just so playing Sabbath, any of that stuff with those guys. And then I was just listening to an earlier Wolf Mother record. You know, that guy changes his band every 3 weeks. So if I could get a cycle in there for one tour, that'd be awesome. And then to what Paul was saying, collaborating locally, I've had this idea knocking around in my head for a while where if we did a charity record, but we all did a cover of somebody else's song in town, and then just see how that came out. I think that would be a lot of fun. So we're still working with somebody else, but we're playing one of their songs if they wanted to do that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add that I haven't asked you about or that we haven't discussed yet?
I want to give a plug for Bone Pool Radio. Everybody should give Bone Pool Radio a listen. And not necessarily for John or my show, just overall listen to it, www.bonepoolradio.com. They got the app, iHeartRadio. They have their own app. It's just a great radio station. John and I are friends with the owner. She always wanted to have a radio station, so she made one. And it's a lot of fun to do. And it's just great to have a radio station again. So whoever wants to listen, definitely give it a listen. It's a great station.